In this video, I want to figure out if I have enough clearance to easily load and unload this part. Now, this part was the first part I brought in. It's fixed. I could float it and remade it in its position, but I do have in-context relationships here, and I don't want to deal with them breaking. So all I'm going to do, I'll click in white space here. I'll come over to the feature tree. I'm going to hold Control, click on my part, and drag and drop a copy in. Next, I'm going to mate this and this concentrically. I do not want to lock the rotation. I want this to rotate. And then I'm going to mate this face and this face coincident, because that's the area I'm concerned with, and then I'm good. Now, to make it easier, I'm just going to go and I'm going to turn the transparency on this part on. So we'll rotate around. We'll look normal to this face. And what we have to determine is, can I get this in and out as designed? And I cannot. So what could I do? There's several things I can do, and I want to discuss those. I could try shortening the length of this up, but I don't want the wall thickness to be too thin here between the pin and this. I could cut the corners off on an angle. Now that's a relatively cheap and easy fix, because we do want to consider cost. The angle I would use is 45 degrees because, again, every shop has the ability to quickly cut something off on 45 degrees. It's a reasonably cheap and quick process. The other thing I could do was, well, I could put a radius here. It would look really nice, but that's potentially a more expensive option, because if it's a machine shop that only has manual equipment, they're going to have to set up a rotary table, which takes time and adds to the part cost. However, if they have a reasonably good CNC, it's quick and easy to program and cut it off. You could do it just as quick as cutting the corners off on a 45 on a manual mill. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to edit my part, and then we'll look at it. So I've edited my part, and now I want to verify it's going to work. So I'm going to use the measure function, and I'm going to measure from this face to this face, and I see my minimum distance here is 0.175. That's a bit tight. So I'm going to click over here in white space, and then I'm going to check from here to here, and again the minimum distance, a little over 3/16. So I put my radius on and it will work, but I think I could do better. The other thing I need to be aware of, I'm just going to go back to the measure tools. How thick is this? So I'm going to measure the minimum distance here, and I see it's just under 3/16. So that's okay, but I wouldn't want it to get a lot thinner if I could avoid it. So I need to think this through, and do I live with this? I go back and I look normal to this. Here it always looks good in the graphics. Yeah, there's lots of clearance. But remember, we want to measure it and evaluate it and make sure that there is enough clearance. So that roughly just under a 1/4 inch clearance, it will work. I could live with it, or I could go back and I could think about this and I could think about fixing it. So I've gone ahead and altered my part one more time. Played with my radius a bit. So I'm going to come back again to the measure tool, zoom in. I'll rotate around again. I want to know what's the minimum distance here. And that minimum distance is just shy of 200 thou, a little over 3/16. I'll click in white space. Select this face again. Select this face. And again, the minimum distance is just over 3/16. So I'm going to go back and look at it this way. For now, I'm going to say it's okay. It is possible to load and unload the part in this orientation or in this orientation, so we can live with it. The production people may not be overly happy with me, but I think it's doable, and we'll have to live with it because we can't get everything perfect, and I would rather not design this to come off every time. It's just one more thing to get damaged, one more inaccuracy to add to this, and something else to get lost. So in the next video, we're going to look at how we would fasten this to here and continue to work with our indexing pin. For now, I no longer need this part, so I'm just going to hide it because I might decide I need it again later. And I'll go back to this one and I'll change the transparency back to solid.